But this is gonna have some really good flavor. Right here.
Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post, live streaming on Facebook Live and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post, live streaming on Facebook Live and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports. Sorry about the little technical difficulties, but we're going to keep it moving. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined this evening by my partners in crime. How you doing?
What's up? How y'all doing? What's going on? Glad to be here.
I'm also joined this evening by my man Ed. What's going on, Ed?
Hey, man, I'm happy to be alive. Good to be here tonight. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's get it.
We got big, newly named Jay Wheels in the building. What's going on, Jay Wheels?
Yeah.
Feeling pretty good. I'm feeling a lot better than PG-13 and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He's starting early. He's starting early.
Yes, sir.
The professor's in the building. What's going on, Professor?
Oh, man, I was feeling good till I derailed the show from the beginning. It's my fault, y'all. I tried to start. I got another screen hooked up tonight, and I should have practiced, but we good. Let's get it. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
All good. Well, this evening, folks, we're going to try to keep it short.
He said we're going to try to keep it short and simple and keep it moving. We still having some technical difficulties, but we're going to get it together.
Yes, sir.
All good, not a problem.
You back with us, Big Red?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is that me that keeps? I'm sorry about that. So we're going to do the NFL Week 1, our post takes, plus other topics that caught our attention in our final post of the evening. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties this evening, but we're going to keep it pushing and keep it moving. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate your time. So sit back and relax. Enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show. All right, fellas. These NBA playoffs been hot. Right now, as we speak, we got the Eastern Conference Finals kicking off with the Boston Celtics taking on them real tough dudes from the Miami Heat. I mean, they not giving up anything to anybody. But before we get to tonight's game, we got to do a little flashback. So, Jay Wills, break down the Eastern Conference before the semifinals. What happened? What we looking like?
Well, right now, the Miami Heat are playing the Boston Celtics. But before we get there, Boston played Toronto, in which Boston pulled off a 4-3 series lead. Toronto was your returning champs. Boston, a very experienced, veteran-laced organization and team. Kyle Lowry has definitely been down that road. Pascal Siakam. It was a young and upcoming talent, got a chance to mirror Kawhi Leonard on last year. So you were thinking that it was about time for them to take a giant leap and possibly be able to make some big damage, do some big things in the Eastern Conference. Well, they came up across a young, hungry Boston squad that's boasting two tough backcourt individuals in Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, with the combination of Kemba Walker. And it seemed to be that the Boston Celtics just had too much firepower for the Toronto Raptors. What did you all think about the matchups between the stars?
If y'all can recall, I told y'all before the season started that Boston was going to be in the finals, the Eastern Finals. Do you all recall that? That's all I got to say.
We recall. We recall. I think that, much is to be said about the play of Pascal Siakam. I think that they were definitely missing him in that series. I mean, Kyle Lowry, once he finally came awake, he was doing a lot of damage in the series, but it's like Van Vliet disappeared. I mean, Siakam just played in stretches. I mean, they were totally outplayed in Game 7, where I really thought that they would bring at least a little bit more fire. But I think you mentioned it the other day, Big Reg. They gave everything that they had in that double overtime, and I think that it just kind of fizzled them out.
And hold on, Johnny, real quick. So let's not also forget though that Boston utilized their bench throughout the whole series, and that made a difference too, because everybody that got on the floor contributed to their outcome.
Right.
And
agree with that.
Getting back to what you were alluding to, J3, as far as the Celtics are concerned, it's in hindsight, the prediction that you made prior to the season probably. I think a lot of people should have been paying attention to. If you go back a couple years ago when they were making their run with a young, I think Tatum was a rookie at the time. Mm-hmm. Brown was in his second year. Hayward was there. It was his first year there, but he was hurt all year. And I don't know if Kyrie was there. I think he wasn't there yet. If he was there, he may have been hurt. But I do recall, and you could correct me, what was Kyrie there yet at the time?
Kyrie was injured when they made that finals run.
Right. So it seems because of the subtraction of Hayward this year, the addition of the point guard out of Charlotte, I think they actually upgraded, and I think they got back to, the moving the ball around, being less selfish. And I think Kyrie leaving, and again, Hayward, I just think it's an awkward fit with him, Brown, and Tatum on the floor at the same time. And I think it allows the young pups, Tatum and Brown, to really flourish without the burden of having Hayward be another person that must touch the ball. So you really can't be surprised, because it seems to be their season turned around, so to speak, when Hayward went down.
Well, let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Hold on,
Kemba Walker.
Jamani, hold tight, because I made a mistake, and I want to apologize. I cut Johnny off, and I didn't mean to do that, and he didn't get a chance to rebuttal. So go ahead, Jay Wills, rebuttal real quick.
Actually, Ed touched on what I was about to speak on.
I'm sorry.
Missing Kyrie Irving, Kemba in the offensive lineup right now. So we actually touched on that as well. I thought that was a big surprise to lose a superstar like Kyrie Irving, gain someone like Kemba Walker, and your team actually begin to produce more offensively. So Professor J, did you want to tap in?
Nah, you just hit it. I didn't know Joe cut you off. But anyway, that's what I was going to say. Let's just get the elephant in the room out there. Kemba Walker is an upgrade from Kyrie Irving from a head standpoint, a chemistry standpoint, and a leadership standpoint. We already said it. When he was injured or hurt or whatever the case might be, the Boston Celtics actually went further and played better together as a team than when he was actually on the court. And now you subtract him and add Kemba Walker, and this team is nice. I mean, they should be pushing, at least in this series, to at least a game 6 or 7. And I expect them to be in the finals, but we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, moving along, Boston has to play somebody in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that team will be the Miami Heat. Miami Heat played the Milwaukee Bucks, which they won, actually, the Miami Heat, that is, 4-1. Nobody expected this. The Milwaukee Bucks are the returning, defending champions, but they had the reigning MVP. He played an amazing regular season, got into the playoffs, and couldn't set anything on fire if it was dry. They also have a number 2. If you were to consider Milwaukee's second star, that would be Chris Middleton. He was given a pretty hefty contract, but he did not play up to his contract? How do you all feel about the state of the Milwaukee Bucks and Chris Middleton? Also, I want to know before you all give me some of your feedback. Notice that Giannis Antetokounmpo stopped following everybody in the Milwaukee Bucks organization that he was connected with. In today's era, that's their way of saying that I don't no longer want to be affiliated with this team, and I'm most likely talking to other suitors. So what are you all's feedback?
I will tell you this: it's some gentleman that will remain nameless that told me that I wasn't right when I told them that Giannis, the Greek freak, was going to move on, because I knew that if they didn't get to, it was finals or bust with this team. And if they couldn't get past the Miami Heat or any other team for that matter, that he was going to look around at his cast and say, I think I can do better somewhere else. And then a lot of the so-called experts have rumored that there are several teams that could utilize his services moving forward that would actually be a better fit for him competing for a championship. But in Milwaukee, that experiment is over.
Absolutely, totally agree.
I don't agree with that at all. I think Giannis used his power move. And just like you're saying, the young people today, social media is king. And when you got millions of followers, everyone notice who you follow and unfollow. So I think that was Giannis pulling a power move, which got him what he wanted. I don't know if y'all heard. Giannis had a 3-hour lunch meeting with the owner yesterday, who said, we will go into the luxury tax and do whatever we need to do to bring in more players to make this a championship team. So Giannis was just pulling a Kawhi. I'm going dark. I'm not going to say anything. And then I'm going to make my moves in silent behind the scenes to make things happen.
But Kawhi moved, right? He moved.
Times. A
right.
couple times.
Because Toronto didn't go get PG. He was going to stay in Toronto, but he wanted PG. And they wasn't going to do that because they had to give up Siakam to get PG.
I hear you. But every other player that has unfollowed their teams, next year they ended up somewhere else. So if he pulled this move and he stays, this would be one of the first from an all-time star like that to actually pull that move. But I still think he's going. They had to have a meeting with him at the very least. But I still think he's leaving.
So, Red, you think he should stay where he's at?
We just always have to remember, he's not from here.
You didn't answer my question.
He's from Greece. He's from Greece. So he's looking at things not like an American basketball player looks at things. He's looking at a team that signed his brother, put him on the roster so that he can have company. He doesn't go with anybody. If need be, they'll go sign his other brother. So all three of them can be on the team. You've got an organization that'll do whatever they need to do to try to make him happy. Doesn't guarantee they're going to win, but they'll spend whatever they're going to do whatever they're going to do to make him happy, because now they got billionaire owners who are committed to keeping him there. They know if he leaves, it's over.
Other teams assign his brothers if they want him as the top prize.
So, again, my question to you is, if you were him, would you stay?
Well, I would.
Go ahead, Ed.
I would leave because Milwaukee's too cold.
Milwaukee had that same problem that Toronto had, and where it's hard to get stars to come out there. That's something he's probably considering as well. The man is determined. He's focused. Like you mentioned, he's come from a very tough background. He's did everything within his power to get to the NBA. He may be chasing the ultimate prize. And if you can assist me into making that big step to making it on the final stage, then I may have to do that elsewhere. He watched Kawhi do it last year. He watched LeBron do his thing. He watched KD do his thing. So it's not unusual for individuals of his particular stature in the NBA to make a big move onto somewhere else. So I would definitely keep an eye on him. But moving along, we want to tap into the Western Conference. Los Angeles Lakers versus Houston. This was very easy breezy, fellas. another gentleman sweep. If you're not familiar with the gentleman sweep, instead of sweeping you 4-0, it's 4-1. We allowed you to have a game to make your pride feel good, to make Tony look good. But then after that, we're going to win 4 straight. We're basically letting you know that we're the top dog, and right now, Los Angeles Lakers is waiting on the Clippers. Gentlemen, how do you all feel about the Houston organization, especially hearing that Dan and Tony's not going to sign back?
It's time. I mean, he's had caliber players there, and they haven't done anything. It's time for him to move on. It's time for the team to rebuild. And I'm sorry. I mean, as much as I like Harden and I like Westbrook, they just not the answer. So they need some additional players, and they're gonna need a coach that's gonna help them get to the next level.
Do you think the all experiment blew up in their face?
Yes.
No.
Ed, please
Yes.
Mike D'Antoni is a brilliant offensive basketball mind. He's been on several national teams. He's well regarded throughout college basketball, international basketball, NBA basketball. Wherever he's been, Phoenix, New York, Houston, it's all the same thing. They play ball, they score a lot of points, they're exciting to the fans. They may even get an MVP or two. I think Harden got an MVP or two. I know Steve Nash got an MVP or two. We're not going to mention the Knicks. But in any case, it was just a bad fit. It was a bad fit. They tried to rearrange the roster like they've done at every other place he's been, but he's just not. He doesn't care about defense. He doesn't coach it. He doesn't believe in it, and it was just time to move on. Whether it was a failed experiment, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it was a failed experiment. They tried something that didn't work. I know that's considered a failure, but you got to. What context is failure? I mean, Harden blossomed to a superstar. They went to a couple. I think they went to a couple maybe one Western Conference final. They've been in contention since he's been there. They just didn't win it. But I mean,
you look like somebody passed gas in the room and they don't want to own it. You look upset about something. Big Red, you want to speak on something, please?
I look that bad, man. Mike D'Antoni needs to be an assistant coach for a team and run the offense.
Ouch.
There you go.
He's a classic example of somebody that has been promoted past his expertise, and he doesn't want, as a head coach, he doesn't want to bring in somebody who will be the defensive guru and let him just run a defense because he doesn't want it messing up his offense. So he needs to go the other way. Houston's got problems because they're not going to get rid of that Westbrook contract, and you can't get rid of the James Harden contract, 2 of the highest contracts in the NBA. So they can't get much help. Who's going to be the coach that wants to come in and deal with those 2 knuckleheads who've been freewheeling for years and try to rein them in to make them a championship caliber team? That's a tough one. But what I'm most worried about is if rumors are correct, D'Antoni might be heading to New Orleans, and I'd hate for him to mess up Zion's career. Because
does the small ball offensive scheme affect him defensively? Is the fact that we want to put our tallest player being maybe 6'6", 6'7", and we're playing somebody like the Los Angeles Lakers or even the Denver Nuggets, in which they boast a lineup that's average height is about 6'6", is the fact that all we have on the floor is a bunch of speedy guard shooters. Does that ultimately affect us on the defensive end? Is his offensive scheme actually hurting him in the long run?
I believe so, because it's not just small ball, it's 3 or layup. Anything else, I'm going to scream and holler at you. So you get killed all the time rebounding. And then the fact that he really doesn't care that much about defense because he thinks he can outscore everybody. You can do that during the regular season when all you're playing is a team one night. They probably flying into you or you flying into there, and they really don't have a chance to adjust to your system. But if they got a chance to lock down in a series and focus, you can't win. And he's proved it in multiple locations.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you. To wrap up, the Western Conference, we want to touch on the still going on series right now, the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets has stepped up in a big way. The kids, Jamal Murray, his big man, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr., whose father has been at every game, silently cheering him on behind that mask, have stepped up and are playing some great defense and offensively inspired basketball. The Clippers are led by Kawhi Leonard, and of course, depending on what player shows up, it could either be playoff P or pandemic P. We really don't know. And that seems to be the issue with the Los Angeles Clippers. What team is going to show up on the floor today? They have a lot of pressure on their backs right now. Denver has absolutely no pressure. Nobody expected them to really be in this spot. But they have the Clippers against the ropes, and they're walking into Game 7 with no fear in the world. What do you gentlemen think about this last playoff game for them?
I think it's all mental for Clippers right now. I mean, again, for the last 2 games, they were up at halftime by 16, and then you let this young team just come back and take it from you. And when they took it, they ain't ever looked back. So right now, the pressure is definitely on the Clippers to perform and finish it out.
Professor Joe, your thought?
Well, you said it in your opening. I mean, what Paul George are we gonna get in this Game 7? And just like pre-show, we talked about it a little bit. If they allow for the Nuggets to stick around to get to, through the first quarter, first half, and the game is still close, you're building up their confidence. I mean, Malone already said that he gave one of his best halftime speeches the other night. So what do you think he's going to say tonight if they're still close? I mean, he probably going to pull out all the stops, because them boys are coming out fired up. They know they can beat them. They gaining momentum in these games, and they're going stretches where they're able to come back from the flurries that the Clippers are giving them. So what that tell you about tonight? That means that if the Clippers don't come out and handle business, and I mean handle it early, and they let them stick around, I got Denver pulling off that Game 7 victory.
Very interesting. Well, ultimately, that is it, gentlemen. That's your NBA wrapped up. You currently have Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals going on right now. You can check into that if you all like. Moving on to some NFL news.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for you basketball heads, right now, Boston is up 5 in the first quarter. NFL Week 1. I have to say, I am surprised.
Wow.
Thankful that we actually had pro football. And it didn't bother me that much that we had games either with most of the stadiums, no fans, a few stadiums, let some fans in, which is amazing to me. But we had some football, and the football wasn't as bad as I thought. It all kicked off with the defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs, open up their season against their playoff foes who had the big league and blew it. And I got to say, I feel for my man Deshaun. It's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season.
It's his coach's fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How many times have we said that? The coach should fire the GM. Oh, they're the same person.
Right.
Yeah, so 34-20, Kansas City. And my last little nugget on that, which was nice, Patrick Mahomes operated like a surgeon. He wasn't a gunslinger in Game 1. Oh, you're going to give me the underneath? I'm going to kill you with the underneath all night, and I'm going to still keep my receivers happy. So, I mean, and they got a running game, guys.
Yes, they do. You know what I appreciated about that game? That Deshaun Watson, when he made that trip over to the sideline, he was ran out of bounds. He sat down on the bench beside Patrick Mahomes, and they shared a little minute of joy and laughter. Right. They probably said to each other, "We both pay."
Deshaun was like, "Thank you for sending me a copy of that contract. I appreciate that."
And the fact that it was two black quarterbacks that did that too brought some joy to my heart as well. I thought that was worth noting.
I'm not going to watch any game that features Houston. I'm not going to watch anymore.
You boycotting?
Because it's a shame that a top 5, top 6 quarterback in the NFL has to be subject to a horrendous offensive line, no weapons to speak of, a defense that is non-existent, and a head coach / GM who just doesn't get it. So I'm glad he got his money. I hope he has a lot of guarantees within that contract, but he's not winning anymore in Houston. And I predicted Houston when we had our predictions for the season. I predicted they would finish 3rd in the division. And now that Jacksonville decided to win a football game, and the Colts decided to, let Philip Rivers lead them. I don't know, man. I just Houston's done. Houston's done.
Real quick, I just want to say that before we even started talking about football, I think what we should have did was acknowledge how the NFL players have all come together before each game and show some type of solidarity because of the issues that's going on in the world right now. And I think it was a beautiful sight to see when you have individuals who are locking arms or who are all kneeling at the same time because they realize what we're going through in the United States. And I just want to bring that to you all's attention.
I hear you. On that note, I think it was the Dolphins, I believe, who released a statement saying all this signage in the end zones and all this kumbaya is nothing. That's why we're not coming out for the for the national anthem or any of it. Y'all can take the black national anthem and all that. We want action. So until y'all see action, you can miss us with all that. So good point, J3.
That's point. A tough statement.
Yeah. So back to football. In the most anticipated game of the week, you had the Battle of the Old Fogies.
Who that? Who that?
The New Orleans Saints with the brand new Tampa Bay Bucks.
They look like
I know you enjoyed that game, Professor.
I sure did. And did you just refer to them as the Tampa Bay Bucks? But you can erase that name now. He's lucky he didn't get hurt. But anyway, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed that game. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. In game one, looking as rusty as ever, they still handled business. And Kamara scored that last touchdown. It should have been 41, that boy at the end. I don't know what they was looking at. But it just to show you that it's going to set up a collision course for that second game between the two, because both teams will get their offenses on track and they'll be able to do some things in the next few weeks that really show that they can compete with some of the best offenses, i.e. the Chiefs. I mean, shout out to Edwards-Helaire, man, from LSU. Ooh. He just looked dominant as a freshman, as a rookie this year. But yeah, I think both teams, Tampa Bay and the Saints, will be going neck and neck for that division this year. And I'm looking for some quality things to come out of Who Dat Nation.
Brady scared me a little bit. He doesn't often throw interceptions. And this time he threw two where the cornerback read them from a mile away. Mm-hmm. One of the benefits Tampa thought they were getting with Brady was that at minimum, if his body isn't necessarily up to par, his head is. He's a smart guy. Mm-hmm. He isn't going to put us in tough situations. He's been down this road 1,000 times. You've been under the tutelage of Belichick. So that means you're just as smart as you can be physical. You're thinking about the game in two different ways. For them to ultimately, I guess you can say, lose based on turnovers in this manner, on not expert play from cornerbacks, but very basic coverage. Mm-hmm. I mean, he threw right into him. It's just game one. I can't say that they baited him into those picks, but after that first one, it looked like it could be much more easier. So I'm wondering exactly what type of play, because I can't say just now. It's only been game one. I would love to bet on the player, knowing that Brady knows exactly what to do. But the problem is I can't bet against Father Time, and you just never know when Father Time going to show up.
You mean when that piano gonna jump on his back?
Something.
And that's interesting. And that's interesting, Jay Wills, that you say that about Father Time, because this comes into question of perception versus reality. The perception is Drew Brees is so much younger than Tom Brady. The perception is Tom Brady needs to retire and Drew Brees doesn't. But the reality is, in that football game, Drew Brees' average pass attempt was 4.1 yards. That ranks since 2010. That ranks one of the all-time lowest average pass in per game. So what I'm saying is that Tom Brady is old. Drew Brees is old.
Is old.
And it's the genius of Sean Payton and the weapons that he surrounded Drew Brees with that allows him the perception of Drew Brees to remain as a legitimate NFL quarterback at this point in his career. And again, that goes back to Brady. The perception of Brady is that his 6 rings allows him to still continue to be an elite quarterback. But the reality of it is that no, not necessarily is he still an elite quarterback. Time has passed him by. Football is a young man's sport. It's time for Brady, Brees, and I can name a couple others that it might be time to move on, because the reality of it is that physically you cannot do it anymore.
Yeah, regardless of about Breeze, he's still setting records though. He set one. Other night. So it don't matter what his average is. He's still that dude, and as long as he get those victories with those weapons that he has, he can ride them all the way to a Super Bowl.
But weapons is a result of time. I mean, records are a result of time. You play long enough under the right scenario or circumstance, you're going to set records. It doesn't make a difference whether or not it has no.
Be an elite player, Ed.
You're not calling him a compiler now. He's more than a compiler.
Right.
Come on now.
I can play for 20 years. That don't mean I'm gonna get numbers like that. I mean, come on. He's still a great player.
It does, because you wouldn't be around if you weren't a great player for 20 years.
Oh.
I'm willing to bet on the longevity possibly of Breeze over Brady, because at least Breeze stuck with Peyton. Now, I knew the situation between Brady and Belichick was a bit different, but the longevity of his career, the New Orleans Saints being willing to cover and mask and do just a little bit more to cover up some of his faults and shortcomings, the New Orleans Saints are going to do that. With Tampa Bay, even with the way Bruce Arians answered some questions, many felt that he wasn't protecting the way the offense flowed. I think Bruce, is that his name? I don't want to mess up.
Bruce Arians.
He mentioned that, and this is not per quote, but he was saying that the 2 interceptions that he threw they definitely didn't practice that in practice. In fact, they practiced those particular plays against certain defenses in order for him to be prepared for that, and that him throwing the pick ultimately was like, hey, you just threw us off. That's not exactly what we were going through. I mean, what we were planning for. So just to me, I think Breeze is ultimately in a better situation, in my opinion.
He is in a better situation, but let's address that what you just said real quick. I don't want to drag this out. Number one, who the heck is Bruce Arians? Number two is that he can't look. Brady decided to join Tampa Bay. He made that choice. But the offensive line if you bring him in there, you have to understand you better construct this team specifically catered to his needs. At 43, he has to have a line. You cannot put him back behind that garbage that he was sitting behind the other day. Now he chose to go to Tampa Bay, so that's on him. He knew what he was getting into, so to speak. But let's be real. Bruce Arians, who the hell? I mean, I don't.
We got you here. We got you here. I'd like to say before we move on to the next game, we got to give a shout out to that man, Alvin Kamara.
Yes, sir.
He got his bread. Signed a 5-year extension, $75 million. I did not think he was going to get that kind of bread. I thought he was going to get somewhere between 12 and 15, but he got the big money, 34.33 guaranteed. So congratulations, Kamara.
Worth every penny of it too. Yes,
Speaking of
indeed.
black quarterbacks that got paid, let's talk about the next one that's getting ready to break the bank. We got to go right up 95 to the big crab cake and our man Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh-wee.
What they did to the Cleveland Browns might get ruled illegal in about 40 states because they beat them like they stole something.
Baker who? Baker what?
Right.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is in. He got problems. Baker may be. This might be his last year in Cleveland,
Boom.
and he might be a perennial backup because the blueprint's already out. You see what they did in Arizona.
All them commercials.
When we can get a better one in, you got to go. And he on TV all day long.
All them commercials.
All the
He
time.
ain't deserve none of it.
The jury is still out on Kyler Murray. I hope he's great, and I want him
Yeah,
to be
he
great.
just said that.
But those are for personal reasons. I want him to be great. But if any one of you can name a Big 12 quarterback that has been a star in the NFL, I got you. Name one. Just name one. Please name one.
Kyler Murray
McCoy.
will be
Name
the
one.
first.
Colt McCoy.
Kyler Murray. He's already been rookie of the year. Did you
Okay.
see what he did to San Francisco's
hold
defense?
on.
See, you got us jumping ahead in games, eh? Come on, man. Let's talk about the
Big
Ravens. We get to Arizona. We get to
I'm
Arizona.
talking about Baker Mayfield. I just said there's never been in 100-year history of the NFL, there's never been a Big 12 quarterback that I can recall that has been great.
Colt McCoy.
Okay, next question. But getting back to the Ravens, I watched that game. I have a vested interest in Lamar Jackson. I know it sounds crazy, but I have a vested interest in him. He's my quarterback. He was my first pick in fantasy, and I got the bug. So I watched that game, and when I looked at that game, all I had in the back of my mind was I remember, if you recall, that was Ozzie Newsome's final draft. He traded back up into the first round to get Lamar because there had been some whispers about whether Lamar was going to be an effective quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking about what Ozzie said after that draft. He said, because it was his final draft, he was going to turn it over the reins to Eric DeCosta. He said, I just gave you a gift. You're welcome. That was his final.
Amen. You ain't never lied.
This is your gift, Baltimore. I appreciate
Yes, sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
And what I was witnessing last Sunday, this past Sunday with Lamar, is not what I witnessed last year in an MVP season. The man is still getting better. Mm-hmm. If you can believe that, the man is still getting better because there was a couple times when it was available for him to run, he threw the ball with accuracy. I might add. And tight windows. So Lamar is on a trajectory up.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm proud of the fact that he seems like a hard worker, but the sky's the limit. And Baltimore is a perfect situation because they've catered their whole team around his success to make sure he has everything he needs to be successful on the field.
Lamar is a perfect example. If you take your craft seriously, you can improve and be that dude right there.
I agree. I think that's enough said. Baltimore gonna be tough all year. Going a little south down 95. Let's talk about the biggest upset of the week.
Whoop 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 whoop. Washington.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The Washington football team goes down 17-0, making the Eagles look like they actually can play some ball. And then something we haven't seen in years. They made some adjustments. Let that defensive line go. 8 sacks later, 2 interceptions later.
Yes, sir.
27-17, 27 unanswered.
Oof.
And the best thing about this, halftime, as some of you know, hopefully most of you follow football know, Coach Rivera is currently undergoing cancer treatment 5 days a week. So at halftime, he had to take an IV to get his energy back up so he could coach the second half. the man who took the reins and gave the team speech about them going back out there and taking over this game and winning this game was none other than the second-year QB. He led the team at halftime. He's stepping up. Dwayne Haskins, while he didn't have a pretty game, Dwayne Haskins is showing leadership. And now, finally, I think that organization is actually going in the right direction. So what you guys think? I know y'all want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Let me go ahead and start out because I had a lot of chirping in my own household by halftime. I'm not going to say her name, but I know who I'm talking about.
I forgot you had a house divided over there.
Yes, sir.
And Chris Hargrove, come off of it now, man. Come on now.
Please.
That defense, if y'all don't understand that they have arrived, then you saw it on Sunday. They put on a defensive clinic after the first quarter that people need to start watching this team. And I'm talking about, you saw Chase Young. I think we said it yesterday, Jay Wills. You said he looked like he was a grown man, been in the league 5 years. I mean, just putting the pressure on. And then for Ryan Kerrigan to sneak him now past Dexter Manley on the all-time skin sack list, man, come on. They were punishing their line. And look, I don't want to hear nothing about their injuries. That Washington team has been one of the most injured teams in the last 3 years, but nobody wanted to hear that. So I don't want to hear nothing about injuries on another team that we totally punished on that day. And give Dwayne Haskins some love. He made some throws. Yeah, some of them still went in the dirt, but you can see his progression and how he has matured. You see he lost that weight. When he was scrambling and he got them first downs, man, he looked like a whole new guy. Now, I'm not saying he Mike Vick, but he can get some first downs in key situations when that defense got their backs turned to him. And let me tell you, our running back core, I was mad when they let AD go. But when I saw them boys playing on Sunday, I was like, man, it's just a matter of time before this offense really gets going.
I think things are looking up for the Washington football team. We have they will become a very disciplined defensive line. I think the cornerbacks will steadily strive throughout the season. Dwayne Haskins has dedicated himself to improving himself. He came in, like Professor Jay just mentioned, he dropped the weight. He got into his playbook. He's willing to accept the role as a leader. Anytime he can say something positive, strong, or redirect a negative comment into a positive direction, he makes sure he does that. Also, as well, as far as chemistry and just seeing how the team responds to the coach, there was a clip circling around after the game and where the players were super respectful to Mr. Riviere. I heard them saying, yes, sir, no, sir. They allowed the man to have the floor. They didn't interrupt. That is very important. I don't think we've had a locker room like that mirrored almost a high school locker room where when that coach walks in, you better be quiet because I may say something to your parents. These guys, these adults have accepted responsibility that this man is the coach. He is our leader. He has a proven track record of at least getting to the playoffs, somewhere that we do not consistently go to. So while he is here, he has administered that these gentlemen show him utmost respect. And I'm thinking for the next couple of years, people better watch out for the Washington football team, including the Steelers.
Washington. I'm not even going. But I will say this about the Washington football teams. Their defensive line from 1 to 8 is the best in the NFL, and I'll say that right now. And I'm not reacting because of yesterday or a couple days ago. Unfortunately, I got burnt a year ago when I said they were my sleeper team with my predictions before the season. But I had no idea that that the defensive coordinator that left was so inept. But now that they've transitioned into a 4-3 base, that 1 to 8 they definitely, and this includes San Francisco, they have the best 8 defensive linemen in the NFL from 1 to 8. I'll put them against anybody.
Ooh.
Anybody.
And to answer Chris's little comment, you got to realize this team is on a brand new coaching system, a brand new defense, a brand new scheme. It took them a quarter and a half to, get adjusted. But once they got adjusted, they let them boys eat. So that's where the team was in the first half.
Beautiful.
You mighty quiet, J3.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say much because you all pretty much said it all. And
Okay.
again, it's just the first game. Let's see where they at in about 3 to 5 games, and then I'll make some adjustments on my comments.
You not
I got
excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, but again, it's just one
Nah.
game. I want to see. I want to see what they're going to do in the future.
I feel you.
Yeah, I'm not excited. I'm gonna call it like it is, but this team has sucked me in too many times to get excited. So no.
Yeah. Please, for the Washington football fans out there, don't get it twisted. This is a rebuilding organization and a rebuilding team. Be
No doubt.
patient. Let them build. Let them grow. It's a multi-year process, but I think they will accelerate that process faster than we may think. Moving on, let's talk about the big, beautiful new stadium in the NFL. There's two, but this one out in LA is outrageous.
$5 billion.
Yeah, Jerry Jones was checking them out.
He was jealous.
Wow. That joker look like a spaceship.
Yes, sir. That was beautiful to see, and the screen that they had inside, I thought Jerry's screen was crazy. That screen has screens on the inside so the football players can look up and see what's going on, and on the outside so the fans. That place is crazy. That place is crazy. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. Hey, I appreciate you checking in. My nephew Tristan, what's going on, partner? So let's get on to the game. LA Rams, Cowboys. All the hype about them Cowboys, all off season, all the weapons,
Look the
and that
same to me.
offense looked like it did last year.
Look the same to me.
Can I say something? Can I say something? I'm not gonna comment on the stadium. We all know it was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. I'm trying to evaluate the Cowboys as far as their offense is concerned. And for the life of me, I don't understand. I don't understand what McCarthy was thinking. McCarthy comes in. He's a new coach. He got basically booted from Green Bay. But he comes to the Cowboys, and they supposedly have all these weapons, right? They supposedly have this great offensive line, which is it's a good offensive line at this point.
Yeah, it's getting old.
The receivers they're dependent on a rookie. They have Amari. They have no real tight end, and the tight end they did have is out for the year. They have Zeke, but what I'm looking at is Kellen Moore. Why would you come in as an offensive coordinator by trade, Mike McCarthy, but you keep the same old offensive coordinator who was part of the Jason Garrett regime? It doesn't make sense. What? And then we get into the game, and it's eerily similar to what we've been seeing for the last several years under Jason Garrett. Because you know why? No terminology has changed. No play calling tendencies has changed. It's the same old, same old. It doesn't make sense. But
It
that's all
does
I
make
know.
sense. If you wanted that job came with one caveat. You got to keep the offensive coordinator.
Well, Jerry Jones ain't serious about winning then.
Does that sound familiar?
I
Don't
agree.
forget how Jason Garrett got his job.
I'm just saying. It doesn't make sense.
Thank
I'm
you,
done.
Chris.
I'm done with the Cowboys.
Thank you, Christopher Hargrove. I
See,
appreciate
that's
that.
another coach and quarterback separation that everybody gonna watch this year. How did Aaron Rodgers do without him? And then how is he gonna do now with the Cowboys now that he's in the driver's seat? And I'm gonna tell you, Ed, if you looked at that Giants game as well with Jason Garrett running that offense, that mess looked the same as what he was doing in Dallas too. It was eerily similar.
But Professor, at least he has an excuse in the Giants organization. The Giants offensive line is
True.
Terrible.
it's
Yeah.
it's a little
True.
it's below
terrible.
Cowboys. Yeah,
Waste
it's
of a
terrible.
perfect running back.
And a quarterback. The kid's going to be. I think the kid got a chance to be good. Danny, whatever Dimes or whatever his name is.
Not if he get beat up.
Damian Jones.
Right,
But,
but as far as the Cowboys is concerned, Professor, they can't expect a different result. And my problem is it's all going to be falling back on Dak. Oh, Dak's this, Dak's that, Dak's this. It's like he's set up to fail.
Well, I'm gonna let y'all fellas in on a little secret. I was me and J3 was on another show last week. Some good friends of ours.
Delay of game. They know what's up.
Delay of game.
Shout out to Delay of game.
My upset pick of the year was Dallas will make the playoffs, but we'll lose. They will not pay Dak the $42 to $45 million that he wants. Dak will leave and be one of the number one picks. Dak will end up in Chicago next year as a starting quarterback for the Bears. And you will see Cam and Big D next year.
Oh man, don't make me hate Cam Newton after I like him so much. Don't even do that. Man, they can keep Dak. Cam need to be in Chicago.
Yeah, but Cam gonna come $25 to $30 million, and he'll be happy to get that. And Jerry likes big names, so
yeah.
On that nugget, I let y'all marinate on that. You brought up a bad man a little bit ago. That man, Mr. Aaron Scorched Earth Rodgers.
That's right.
I like that name.
He's on a mission. You gonna draft my replacement when I'm still in my 30s, and you got guys out here in their 40s still getting it done? What is wrong with you guys? Rodgers went 32 for 44, 364, and 4 TDs.
Still that man. He is still that man.
And
gotta give him props. Gotta give him props. And he don't have no receivers.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams showed
Watch your mouth, J3. Devontae Adams is that dude.
Rodgers put together a few throws that'll make Patrick Mahomes blush.
Well, who you think started it? Who you think Mahomes was patterning his game after? Aaron Rodgers was making them throws for the last decade.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't sleep on Russell Wilson. Come on now.
And we getting to him, J3. We know he had that monster game.
But the game didn't surprise me. Rodgers is Rodgers. Right. Minnesota, I said it before the beginning of the year. I knew Minnesota was going to be who they were. Chris. But the thing about Aaron that's confusing though, I don't understand why he's upset about the pick, because I recall he came into Green Bay and there was already a 30-year-old star in Green Bay, and he had to sit 2 or 3 years behind him. So I don't understand why he would be upset with them drafting another quarterback. I mean, he's played under the same situation.
Because they traded up to draft this dude. They gave away draft capital to draft somebody that can't help the team. And don't forget, they were 13-3 last year.
Mm-hmm.
They ready to try to win a Super Bowl, and you don't give me any instant help. You get somebody that's going to help 3 years down the line when I'm not going to be here?
Right.
But isn't that what happened when they drafted him when Brett Favre was still there?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You got to take his own medicine.
But why
that wasn't his fault?
Favre came from an Atlanta deal, though. That was a little different. They didn't trade a lot of draft capital to get Brett Favre. And then when they got Aaron Rodgers, I know I'm making a narrative. Then when they got Aaron Rodgers, they failed to them. They didn't have to give up a lot of draft capital for him.
Right, that's true. That's true.
But it's still, young man coming in and you're not ready to give up them rings. So he kind of got some of his treatment that he gave Brett Favre, because he was a firecracker calling Brett Favre old man and all that stuff back then. So he getting a little bit of his own treatment.
So as you mentioned, they did play somebody. That was the Minnesota Vikings. And I'll just leave it at that. Minnesota's Minnesota.
Disappointing.
I will say hats off to another running back that got some money. You had Dalvin Cook sign a 5-year, $63 million extension, 28.2 guaranteed. So it's good to see running backs getting paid, because they're the ones that give up their bodies more than anybody else on the field except for offensive and defensive linemen.
Well worth it too.
Moving on to another bad quarterback. Y'all mentioned him a second ago.
Oh,
Dangerous Russ. The
Beast mode.
They're saying let Russ cook is the new thing out there. Don't wait till the fourth quarter and make Russ have to save the team. Let Russ throw the ball early and often and see what he does. Well, he showed you what he could do. 31 for 35, 322 and 4 TDs.
Yes.
Let Russ cook.
That's my man.
Let him cook and throw more passes to DK Metcalf. A beast. Go ahead, J3. That's your man. What you got?
I ain't gotta say it. Reg just said it right there. The stats speak for itself. You don't have to embellish on him. The numbers speak for themselves. Russell is that man.
Right.
Considering how well Russell's paid these past 4 or 5 years and that he's never even received one MVP vote, I think this year might be his year. What's crazy, though, he didn't have the most passing yards in that game. Your boy Matt Ryan, I can put up a bunch of stats, but don't win the big ones. Put up 450. Had 3 receivers over 100 for Atlanta.
Told you on the fantasy show. I told you.
So
this is another mystery. That's another mystery to me. I don't understand how Dan Quinn can still have his job.
Me neither. Me neither. Somebody said that in the chat earlier.
He's been the architect of 2 blown Super Bowls back to back. Some of the most colossal collapses in the history of the Super Bowl. As a Seattle defensive coordinator, and then as a Atlanta head coach / D coordinator, when they both times they lost to New England. His defense have been in shambles really since he's been there, maybe except for the Super Bowl year where they were okay, but they haven't been the same since the second quarter of that said Super Bowl. But yet he still keeps his job. Meanwhile, Eric Bieniemy is sitting on the sideline on Thursday Night Football. He can't get an interview. But I digress. I just don't understand how Dan Quinn still keeps his job. I don't understand it.
There's a few out there that's question mark. The head coach of the New York Jets, how he still got his job.
Oh my God. I apologize to Dan Quinn. My bad. That dude in New York, what is his age? What is his name?
Gase.
Yeah. Oh my
Adam
God.
Gase.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Gase.
The head coach for the Denver Broncos. How you gonna not call timeouts at the end of the game? So there's a few head coaches out there that they need to worry about. We getting a little late, so we're gonna do some rapid fire on some of these games. Hats off to my man Kyler Murray for doing this thing, going against the strong San Francisco 49ers defense, pulling them back for a win 24-20. Kyler Murray is next level as far as being able to throw it from the pocket and still put up 70 to 100 yards rushing every game. So look out for him. He's coming to play the Washington football team. So that's going to be real interesting to see that defensive line against Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And one last thing about that, I feel so bad for Deshaun because DeAndre Hopkins showed.
He was watching. He was watching.
Yes, he did.
Got to give a thumbs up to Cam Newton.
Cam.
Cam showed that he's healthy. He said he's willing to do whatever it takes. So I don't know about carrying the ball 15 plus times a game, but Cam says he'll do whatever he has to do. So good win, Cam. Good luck. Hopefully you can stay healthy all season.
Amen.
Las Vegas Raiders. They only played the Carolina Panthers, but it's good to see the Vegas Raiders, who will open up their $3 billion penthouse this coming Sunday, get a W. I just hope that Teddy Bridgewater continues to progress and takes advantage of his second chance for, really being a starting quarterback. And the disappointing loss of the weekend. Did y'all see the ending of the Detroit Lions Chicago Bears game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fumble.
Did y'all see ex-Georgia running back Swift drop the ball in the end zone for the game winner with like 7 seconds left?
Yeah, Butterfingers on the
Butterfingers. What you say? He was eating his popcorn on the sideline.
yeah, buddy, because he just whoop, there you go.
Wasted Matthew Stafford's good game, man.
That's been the story of Matthew Stafford's career. Wasted good games.
And how Trubisky drop a dime though? Did you see that? That
Fool's
fool
gold.
dropped a dime.
But he played like garbage for 3 quarters.
Yeah,
So he's gonna bench him after the third quarter.
He dropped it. I ain't think
nothing new.
throw.
That ain't nothing new. That's Trubisky. That ain't nothing new.
Josh Allen keeps doing Josh Allen things. The Buffalo Bills did what they needed to do. And again, how the coach at the Jets still has a job is a wonder to me. But we'll keep it moving. The second surprise of the week, Gardner Minshew is like tanking for who?
Wow.
It's just one.
Jacksonville. Yeah,
They
really.
played the Colts. Ugh.
Jacksonville gave away everybody on the team that's a real player that wasn't a rookie or second-year player. And they still got it. I thought Jacksonville was going to go 0-16 myself. So for them to get a W, it's
they got
cool. And
management
Gardner
problems.
Minshew went 19 for 20.
In football this year. That's going to be
Yeah,
the
they-
worst division this year.
They still got management problems. They ain't going nowhere. Don't get excited.
But it helps that Phillip Rivers was throwing the ball to the other team.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Phillip
What he
does.
good at. Yeah.
Right.
The last 3 years. That's what he good at.
And
He don't
still
want to
has
get
a
hit
job.
anymore. So if you get near him, he gonna throw the ball away so he doesn't get hit. He's another
still has
old
a
man that
job.
need to go home. He already has a job. He's a head coach, already set up. He need to go coach.
Move, get out the way.
Yeah.
And last, we got to talk about these Monday night games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna save one for the last. Hats off to the Tennessee Titans for with the kicker blowing 3 field goals and an extra point, still pull off a 16-14 win in an ugly game. But the real game was the first game.
Yep.
Big Ben is back.
Yes, he is.
So I'm gonna leave the floor to my man with the big smile on his face
Ben.
right now. So what you think of Big Ben, partner?
I think he looked like a quarterback that hadn't played in a year. I do believe that if they can keep Big Ben upright this year, they'll be just fine. But that's going to be a challenge considering they had one catastrophic injury to their right tackle and another injury to their backup, number one backup interior lineman yesterday. He's out for the season with a torn pec. But as far as Big Ben, you saw the arm talent is still there. You saw him. He lost a little weight. He can't necessarily shake people off of him like he used to. His movement skills is a little bit limited. But again, he's 38 coming off of a major surgery. How long it will last, I don't know if it'll last as long as the season that I predicted, maybe 10, 11 games. I don't know. But just one game is more than I want. I mean, it's better than seeing Duck Hodges or Mason Rudolph. So congrats, Ben, for coming back. I hope it lasts.
Yeah, we even had a Juju sighting last night. So good to have him back. So what you got to look forward to week 2, Thursday night? Bengals, Browns. Usually that wouldn't be a game anybody would pay attention to. But if the rookie Heisman winner beats the Browns at the Browns, you may see your boy get benched. Just saying.
He gonna be too busy putting covers on his stadium seats and stuff, because it's about to rain. Yeah, they gonna get beat because Burrow actually looked decent. They should have won the game. So I think he gonna come out blazing. And I don't know what's going on with Odell Beckham, man, dropping passes, getting penalties, man. I thought he was really gonna turn the corner this year. I think the Browns are gonna be one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year with all that talent.
I said that last week. They got a lot of talent, but they just don't know how to use it.
You on it? Yeah.
Yeah. Rumor is that Odell's supposed to is on the block. But moving on, you also got the Falcons at the Cowboys. Two teams that was expecting to have victories.
Matty
0-2 is a problem for either one of them. Rams at Eagles, the Washington football team at the Cardinals, Ravens at Texans, Patriots at Seahawks, which will be a very interesting test for Cam on Sunday night. And then, again, you got them Saints going to Vegas to visit that new $3 billion stadium. So
That's the Black Bowl. Ooh, that's I'm getting hype already.
So that's what you got to look forward to. Anybody got any last thoughts on the NFL before we move on?
Great week one. That's it for me.
Cool. All right. Now it's time for our takes. Give it to us, Professor.
All right, let's hit these rapid fire. Did y'all know Notre Dame won this weekend? Just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's talk Puck first. All right, for the first time, guys, in 7 tries. Yeah, you heard it, 7. The 7th time under Alex Ovechkin's era, we have a new head coach for the Washington Capitals. They hired Peter Laviolette. He's an 18-year veteran, ranking 16th all-time in wins, and has hoisted a Stanley Cup trophy in 2006 with the Hurricanes. He had 2 other opportunities with the Flyers in 2010 and the Predators in 2017. It would have not just been easier for them to keep Barry Trotz. I'm a Trotz fan. I just wish they had kept him. Hopefully, this new coach can help us bring back Hope Beast because we need him. NCAA football, COVID, no problem. Most of our players have caught it, and we are ready for some football. That's out of the mouth of one national championship head coach, Ed Orgeron. He said this in a recent interview about the rampant positive testing, past and present, of the LSU Tigers. He feels that they will not catch it a second time. I guess he thinks he's a physician or a doctor or a researcher. But they don't have to be tested for 90 days after they have a positive test. So that's interesting. Some folks are just only concerned about that bottom line. Heisman race this year, man, please just give the trophy to Trevor Lawrence. But if Ohio State jumps back in the mix, then look out for that Justin Fields watch. In racing, jot another victory for Formula One legend and world champion Lewis Hamilton after not only winning the Tuscan Grand Prix, but taking a solid stand for social justice. Say her name. Breonna Taylor was etched on his shirt, but also etched in our hearts. We stand with you, Hamilton, and he vows to never stop using his platform. No investigation by F1 for his actions. NFL football. Maybe Rashaan Evans of the Titans would like to take Roy Jones's place to fight Mike Tyson. That was a nice right hook he landed on Jake Butt of the Broncos. Too bad it is going to cost him in the pockets. Someone should just let him know that helmets break hands. Not too smart. Down to women's tennis. The Italian Open will miss all-time great Serena Williams, who must withdraw due to her Achilles injury suffered in the U.S. Open. We truly hope that you get well, Serena. We must get treated to an all-time finals match between you and Naomi Osaka before you retire. We truly got robbed this year. Down to soccer. Money. Lionel Messi scores off the field as well. Forbes has named him the wealthiest soccer player in the world with a haul, get this, guys, of $126 million. He edged out Ronaldo at 117 and Brazilian bomber Neymar at 96 million. Oh, well, back to the field, boys. Looking forward to the next World Cup. To the NBA. Has anyone seen Playoff P? Someone trying to just think of all the love Michael Porter Jr. will get if they pull off this upset. A Rant Gone Well will be the title of his book. But oh, wait, they got to make sure they win it all and finish the deal. So good stuff, fellas. Thanks for taking time with the post takes.
Hey, real quick, Jamani, when you get a chance, check the Facebook post because Jerome stated that he's not seeing any of his posts on.
Yeah, neither is Sense. And okay. I'm gonna just tell you real quick since you brought it up on air. StreamYard has given us a notice that something is going wrong on the Facebook end. So it's Facebook, y'all. It's not us. Okay. So we can't see you tonight. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
We appreciate y'all tuning in and letting us know, though. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I appreciate that, Professor J. Some other things that may have caught our eye. You mentioned tennis, mentioned the great Serena Williams. I'd like to give our hats off to two people. Dominic Thiem, who won the men's U.S. Open in an epic 5-setter, was down 2 sets, came back, was the first person in the male field to come back down 2 sets in the final in like 65 years and win the title. So that's big, and that's his first major. But more importantly, in the women's final, Naomi Osaka came back from a set down to beat a hard-fighting Victoria Azarenka. Mm-hmm. And she did that the whole time while also, like Lewis Hamilton, making her message known about the fight for social injustice. She started it at the match before, the tournament before, when she was going to actually disqualify herself because she didn't think they should be playing. And she went to the U.S. Open with 7 masks with different names on it for different people that were murdered, Black people that were murdered. And she got to wear all 7 masks and made her point and took no nonsense from the reporters after the matches, asking her some questions that may have been a little silly. So hats off, Naomi. You're finding your voice and doing big things. Don't forget about the WNBA. Their playoffs begin tonight. The Washington Mystics snuck in, won 4 of their last 5 games to get that 8th seed. They play at 9 o'clock.
Let's go, ladies.
You've already got one playoff game that started already this evening, and the top 2 seeds are the Seattle Storm and Las Vegas Aces. NHL, looks like we're getting close to getting our finals for that. The Vegas Golden Knights went down to the Dallas Stars 4-1, and tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Tampa Bay Lightning lead the New York Islanders 3-1. And last but not least, to our listener last week that said we didn't get you any last call, hats off to Brad Keselowski for winning at Richmond, close in the race for the championship cup, currently being led by Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin in second place. But the big news in NASCAR was Bubba Wallace announced that he was going to be leaving Richard Petty Motorsports at the conclusion of this season, and look for a huge announcement for Bubba once the season ends for where he's going to be racing next year. Because don't get it twisted, Bubba's not done racing. Bubba signed a lot of new contracts, and he's got a lot of people behind him. So Bubba's getting to get into a big-time ride. So we'll look forward to that. Anybody else got any thing that caught their eye before we get out of here?
Yeah, it just caught me, Big Reg. New Orleans Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas will miss the Raiders Monday Night Football game with a high ankle sprain. God.
Ooh, them high ankle sprains can last weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
At least it's not broke.
What caught my eye was the funniest thing I saw the other day was, I know I've been talking about the Roy Jones and Mike Tyson fight, but Roy Jones comes out and says he think he made a mistake trying to go in the ring with Mike Tyson. He's actually scared. I'm like, really? You gonna say this after you already agreed to the fight? So yeah, hilarious.
I'll set you free.
Or save your life.
Yeah. Did you have anything, Ed?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You good, Jay Wills?
I'm definitely good.
All right, fellas, it's time for our final post so we can go and get out of here. J3, what you got for me?
Just shout out to all our listeners. Thank you so much, and we appreciate your support and continue doing so.
Jay Wills, what you got for me?
Want to shout out all parents and teachers who are dealing with this new virtual learning. Stick in there. I know it's tough, but you're definitely going to get through. And if God be for you, he'll be more than the world against you.
Great point. Professor.
Yeah, just want to keep all the people in our prayers out in West with the fires, down in the Midwest or South with the hurricanes coming, and definitely on the East with all the drama that we have going on. just y'all keep lifting each other up, lend a helping hand, and show some love, please.
Excellent. Ed.
Yeah, this is kind of old, but I just want to say hi to my mother and my sister. When we had our anniversary show, my mother swore up and down I didn't mention her, but I know I did.
Yes, you did.
I know I did.
You did.
But I want to say thank you to my mother and sister again. Once they follow us, they listen religiously, whether they're in their car, whether they're wherever they are, tape delay, whatever. But I just want to say thank you and please continue. We appreciate your support and everyone have a safe week.
Thank you, Mom. We appreciate you. Thank you, sis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'd like to just put out, you can call it a Big Reg public service announcement. Now, this is kind of serious. For all you out there who have elderly parents or grandparents, have a conversation with them. Because of this COVID situation and the elderly really being secluded, the amount of scams that are going on has accelerated tremendously. And the amount of phone scams where people are calling and trying to scare elders. I just had a situation today with my dad, who lives with me, saying that someone was calling him from the Social Security Administration, talking about someone had been depositing large sums of cash, and it scared him. He came to me. I was like, Dad, nobody from a government agency is going to call you. They're going to send you a letter. No one from a reputable bank, business is just going to call you out the blue. So have a conversation with your elders and let them know, and make it a gentle conversation, because they're already feeling isolated, already feeling lonely. They don't want to feel like you're looking down on them, but we need to protect them, because there are a lot of people out there that are out there to try to take their money. And if you don't look out for them, by the time you figure it out, most of the time it's too late.
Amen.
All right. So we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. Please tune in next Tuesday, 7 p.m. We're here every week at 7 for our next live show. You can also download this show and our previous shows on our Facebook and YouTube pages. When you check out the pages, do us a favor. Please subscribe. Tell all your friends and family members about this show. We'd greatly appreciate it. You can follow us at Positions on Sports on Facebook. Our YouTube channel is Position on Sports Talk Show. And you can also follow us on, what's the new streaming service we're using, Professor? Twitch?
Yeah, Twitch.
We're also now on Twitch. So check us out. We greatly appreciate it. You folks have a wonderful evening. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Be happy. Show some love to everybody. And we appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.